The hospital lobby always felt strangely familiar to me. Too clean, too quiet, too polite. Yet that afternoon, as I walked in for what was supposed to be a routine consultation, something inside me tightened like a pulled string. Maybe it was the way the fluorescent lights flickered overhead, or maybe it was the air itself, thick, heavy, humming with something unspoken. Dr. Rowan wasn't his usual calm, warm self. When he entered the examination room, he looked like a man who had been running from a storm only he could see. His hair, normally neatly combed, was slightly disheveled, and the collar of his white coat was wrinkled as if he had been tugging at it. He avoided my eyes when he greeted me. "Hi, Isla," he said, voice too soft and too thin. "How have you been feeling?" "Still tired," I answered. "Still dizzy. Still nauseous." I forced a smile. "Pretty much the same as last time." He nodded, but not like a doctor marking symptoms. More like someone confirming a terrible suspicion. He fumbled through his papers, dropping one. When he bent to pick it up, his hand shook. I pretended not to notice, but it was impossible to ignore the deep crease of fear lining his forehead. "Your tests came in," he said, clearing his throat. "I want to run a few more, just to rule out possibilities." "What possibilities?" I asked. He froze. A full charged second passed before he answered. "Just routine checks." But there was nothing routine about the way he said it. While he took my blood pressure, I noticed he kept glancing toward the door, as if expecting someone to burst in. His stethoscope was cold against my skin, not because of the metal, but because his fingers were trembling. Every nervous swallow, every forced breath, every darting eye movement screamed one thing. He was scared. But not of me. Of something else. Someone else. When the examination ended, Dr. Rowan handed me a standard printout of healthy lifestyle recommendations: hydration, sleep, vitamins. Things he normally didn't bother reciting to me. His voice cracked slightly as he said, "Take care of yourself, okay?" "I will," I said softly. He hesitated. "Isla, one more thing." I waited, expecting some medical instruction. Instead, he shifted closer, lowering his voice. "If anything unusual happens at home," he murmured, "don't ignore it." My heart gave a shaky flutter. "What do you mean?" But he stepped back quickly, shaking his head. "Never mind. I'm just being cautious." That was a lie. A complete trembling lie. I left the clinic with a knot in my stomach, but nothing prepared me for what I found hours later. When I got home and opened my handbag to take out the appointment papers, a small, tightly folded piece of paper fluttered to the floor. Not a patient note. Not a prescription. Not something I had put there. With nervous fingers, I unrolled it. 4 words. Sharp. Desperate. Written in a hurried scrawl I recognized from the doctor's handwriting. "Run from your family now." For a moment, the world went silent. Everything, my heartbeat, my breath, the hum of the lights overhead, stopped. I stared at the message, my skin crawling, my throat dry, my mind screaming questions. Why would he write this? Why hide it? Why me? Why now? But the biggest question burned the harshest. What did he know about my family that I didn't? I held the note so tightly it nearly tore, my pulse hammering against my palm. A cold wave of dread washed over me as one terrifying thought took root. Something was terribly, terribly wrong at home. The morning after finding the note, I woke with a heaviness in my chest that felt almost foreign, like a bruise forming beneath my ribs. I couldn't shake the memory of Dr. Rowan's shaking hands, his eyes darting toward the door, the hidden message burning like a brand against my skin. "Run from your family now." The words followed me through every creak of the house, every whisper of wind against the windows. My own home felt suddenly alien, as if the walls were listening, as if the shadows knew more than I did. I walked into the kitchen trying to act normal. My mother stood at the counter stirring oatmeal, humming softly, too softly, like she knew someone was watching. My stepfather sat at the table scrolling through his phone. He looked up and smiled, but something in the smile felt stretched, like it was placed there deliberately. "Morning, sweetheart," my mother said. "I made your favorite. You should eat. You've been looking pale lately." Pale. Sick. Weak. Exactly what I had been feeling. I forced a small smile. "Thanks." When she turned around to check the stove, I noticed a small glass vial near her elbow. A clear liquid inside. No label. No reason to be there. Mom, I asked, heart racing. What's that? She glanced at it for half a second. Too quick, too controlled, and pushed it aside. Oh, just some essential oil drops for the diffuser, she said lightly. But we didn't own a diffuser. A sharp spike of fear pierced my gut. Something was wrong. Something was terribly, bitterly wrong. I sat down at the table. My stepfather slid a bowl toward me, smiling. You should eat while it's warm. Eat. The word echoed through my mind like a warning siren. I pushed the oatmeal around with my spoon. It looked normal, smelled normal. But the note in my pocket pulsed like a heartbeat. I lifted the spoon halfway to my mouth, hesitated, then let it fall. Actually, I'm not hungry, I murmured. His expression flickered. Just for a moment. But I saw it, the irritation, the sudden shift from kindness to calculation. Suit yourself, he said, his voice too flat. I excused myself quickly and took the bowl with me, claiming I'd eat in my room. Instead, the moment my door shut, I emptied it into the bathroom sink. A faint metallic scent rose with the steam. Sharp. Bitter. Wrong. My hands shook violently as I washed it away. I didn't want to believe it. That they were capable of this. That my family, my mother, would hurt me. But the evidence was no longer subtle. And that afternoon, everything snapped into a horrifying clarity. I managed to contact Dr. Rowan discreetly through a message I phrased innocently. Can we discuss my test results again? His reply came instantly. Come to the clinic now. Don't tell anyone. My stomach dropped. When I arrived, he pulled me into a private room and locked the door behind us. Isla, he whispered urgently. I didn't want to scare you, but your blood work. It shows repeated exposure to toxic substances. The world blurred. What kind? I asked, voice trembling. Compounds found in household chemicals, he answered. Slow-acting. Hard to detect. But dangerous. Dangerous. The word soaked into my bones. I felt sick. Sicker than before. And before I could fully process his words, another puzzle piece slid into place, one that made my skin crawl. The night before, I had woken to strange sounds. My mother's voice, hushed but sharp. My stepfather's deeper tone rumbling with agitation. I couldn't make out the words then, but they replayed in my memory now as fragmented whispers. She's getting suspicious. Can't wait much longer. The inheritance. Inheritance. A word that didn't belong to any casual conversation. Inheritance. My hands went cold. My blood felt like ice water flowing through my veins. What do they want from me? I whispered. Dr. Rowan hesitated, pain in his eyes. Isla, I think they want what you stand to inherit. And they don't want to wait for it. My breath collapsed. The truth wasn't just bleeding through. It was flooding, drowning, suffocating. And the betrayal cut deeper than any blade ever could. The hours after learning the truth felt unreal. Like I had stepped into someone else's nightmare. My vision blurred, sounds warped, and my heartbeat thudded like a warning drum inside my ears. I sat across from Dr. Rowan in his office, gripping the edge of the chair so tightly that my fingers burned. They want to kill me? I whispered, barely hearing my own voice. My own mother? Dr. Rowan's expression softened with painful sympathy. Isla, I wish I could tell you something else. But the signs, he sighed, pushing a folder toward me. Your test results, the toxins in your system, their urgent conversations. Everything points to the same conclusion. I stared at the papers, the jagged lines of numbers and red highlighted levels. Proof. Cold, clinical proof of my slow, quiet murder. But why? Why would she even think of? She's not your biological mother. The air left my lungs in a violent jerk. I blinked at him. What do you mean? Dr. Rowan reached into his drawer and pulled out another envelope. One I hadn't seen before, sealed and old, its corners softened by time. This was given to me by your biological father before he passed away. He instructed me to give it to you when you turned 21. But now, he paused, swallowing hard. Now, I think you need it sooner. My hands trembled as I opened it. A letter. A bank certificate. A trust fund statement. My father's handwriting curved warmly across the page. To my daughter, Isla. If you are reading this, it means you are close to becoming an adult. Everything I own is yours. I hope this helps you live freely and safely. A lump swelled in my throat. I had never known him. Only stories my mother told. Stories now laced with suspicion and holes. A trust fund. I whispered. Worth this much. Dr. Rowan nodded. It becomes fully active on your 21st birthday. Your stepfather knows. And your mother. He hesitated. She's been keeping the truth from you for years. My stomach twisted violently. I felt betrayed on levels I didn't even have words for. So they thought, I said slowly, voice hollow. If I'm dead before my birthday, they inherit everything, Dr. Rowan finished quietly. Yes. The room felt too small. The walls felt too close. I stood abruptly, chair scraping against the floor. I can't go back there. You can't, he said firmly. Not even for one night. I pressed my palm over my mouth as my breath quickened. Memories of the house, my bedroom, the kitchen, my mother's smile, spun sickeningly. I had been living inside a nest of predators. What am I supposed to do? I whispered. I have nowhere to go. You have me, Dr. Rowan said immediately. And you'll have protection. I'll contact a shelter that handles high-risk cases. But first you must gather any evidence you can safely get. Voice recordings, documents, anything that proves intent. Evidence. Proof. Justice. Fear still twisted through me, but beneath it, a spark lit, small, trembling but alive. I can get it, I said. I know where they keep everything. Dr. Rowan placed a warm, steadying hand on my shoulder. Isla, be careful. One wrong move and they'll know you're aware. I won't get caught, I promised, though my voice shook. Night fell like a dark curtain the moment I stepped off the bus near home. Every street lamp flickered like it knew my secret. Every shadow felt like it hid a pair of watching eyes. Inside the house, everything looked normal. Too normal. My mother's slippers by the couch. My stepfather's jacket on the chair. The faint scent of lavender detergent. But the warmth was gone. Only danger remained. I moved quietly, gathering documents from the study, my phone recording as I captured whispered conversations through the thin walls. Every step felt like walking on the edge of a cliff. By 2 a.m. I had everything. And at 2:13 I climbed out my window, heart pounding like thunder, bag strapped to my back, never once looking behind me. Dr. Rowan's car waited in the shadows down the street, headlights off, engine purring softly. When I slipped into the passenger seat, trembling and breathless, he whispered only one thing. You're safe now. But I didn't feel safe. Not yet. I felt broken, hollow, freezing. But I also felt something new, something powerful rising from beneath the fear. Determination. I wasn't going to be their victim. Not anymore. The safe house Dr. Rowan brought me to was small, just a quiet apartment above a closed bookstore. But to me it felt like a lifeboat in a storm. For the first time in months, I slept without worrying someone might slip something into my food or stand silently over my bed in the dark. For the first 2 days my body trembled constantly, withdrawal, fear, adrenaline, grief. I fluctuated between panic and numbness, my emotions raw and frayed, but Dr. Rowan checked on me every morning. He brought groceries, made sure I drank water, and reminded me that survival itself was already an act of defiance. You did everything right, he said quietly one afternoon. You chose yourself. But choosing myself came with consequences, ones I was ready to unleash. By the end of the week, the authorities had everything. The audio recordings of whispered conversations, the toxicology results, the unlabeled vials, financial documents stolen from my stepfather's office, and the note that had saved my life. I watched as officers listened to the recordings, their expressions shifting from confusion to horror. One of them, a woman with sharp eyes, looked at me and said, "You're incredibly strong. Many wouldn't have survived this long." I didn't feel strong. I felt exhausted. But I nodded anyway. The investigation moved fast. Faster than I expected. My mother and stepfather's facade of a perfect household crumbled within 48 hours. The police raided the house at dawn. I didn't see it in person, but I watched the footage later. A neighbor had filmed everything from across the street. The red and blue lights lit up the house like a twisted holiday display. Officers surrounded the porch. My mother stumbled out first, hair disheveled, mouth twisted in a wild snarl as she screamed that she was innocent. She kept pointing at the officers, babbling accusations, trying to convince them that she was the victim. My stepfather emerged next, cold and stiff. He didn't yell. He didn't fight. He only narrowed his eyes, jaw clenched, like he was calculating how everything had gone wrong. The moment the cuffs clicked around his wrists, I felt something deep inside me loosen. Like a chain I didn't know I'd been dragging had finally snapped. Sweet revenge didn't taste sweet. Tasted like freedom. Like breathing again. Their arrest was only the beginning. The local news picked up the case within hours. Couple arrested for attempted poisoning of daughter. Headlines spread like wildfire. Their neighbors, co-workers, distant relatives, all turned against them. Their carefully crafted image shattered completely. My mother was the one who broke first. In the recordings played by investigators, her voice trembled with panic as she admitted knowing about the toxins, enough to incriminate herself. My stepfather, cornered by evidence, tried to blame her, but the financial documents traced everything back to him. Watching them tear each other apart was surreal. These were the people who tucked me into bed, who smiled at family dinners, who told me they loved me. They had never loved me. They had loved my inheritance. The trial took several months, but they stayed behind bars the entire time. I didn't attend the courtroom sessions. I didn't need to. The prosecutor kept me informed, and that was enough. The day the verdict was announced, guilty on multiple counts of attempted homicide, I finally breathed a breath that didn't hurt. My 21st birthday arrived quietly. No cake. No candles. Just a legal document confirming I now controlled my father's trust in full. I visited Dr. Rowan that evening, holding a small wrapped box. He looked surprised when he opened it. A silver pin engraved with the words, "Thank you for saving my life." His eyes softened. "Isla, I just did what anyone in my position should have done." "No," I said. "You did what no one else had the courage to do." For a moment we simply looked at each other. Two people connected by a truth that had nearly destroyed me. When I stepped out of the clinic, the sun was setting in a wash of gold and orange. The air smelled like warm pavement and freedom. I wasn't healed, not fully. Betrayal leaves scars that don't fade easily. But I was alive. I was free. I was rebuilding myself piece by piece. And that, more than anything, was the sweetest revenge of all.